This is my first time using this camera. Let's see how it works out. I've got a backpack mount, shoulder strap. So much for the path. If anything, it's massively overgrown. Supposed to be cross-country skiing trails here, and I see a blue diamond as a blaze right over there. I'm gonna play it conservative and walk here and either back this way or through that. What I don't want is the moose watch. I want Beaver Loop or Badger Trail. So, I use an Arn backpack, and that gives me two big, convenient balance pockets. I think they're 6 liters, something like that. Big enough to hold a full, liter of water in one of the sides of one of these things. So about 4 total liters of water if you want to measure by that. There's no snow where I live here in New Hampshire. This is the first snowfall of the year. It's sticking to the trees quite well up here. They said look out for bears. Seems like a little habitat for something there. Close to the trail though. the other arm pack I had was what was it called? Still have it. It's the one that I, have had for something like 15 years. Beaver Loop and Badger Trail. Now, this is how you do it. With a little map. It's even showing me where I am. So I'm going to take the Beaver Loop to Badger Trail. Beaver Loop. I've never been here before. Right, Featherlight Freedom. That was the name of the pack that I had. It's nice and big, but it doesn't have any internal frame. Though it does have a nice, suspension system on it that wraps around your whole body, yada yada yada. It's really great. So great that when I was looking into fitting it properly this year, I saw that the videos had differences in the design of the straps. They'd clearly in the past 15 years made some advancements, and rather than getting the same pack again, I said, what the hell, I'll get a different one. The one that I got, I think, is called the Peak Aspiration, and it has a more pronounced frame. This is more like a traditional backpacking pack, but with all the goodies baked in. And so, why do I like this better than my old pack? Largely due to the suspension and those enhancements. But I think if I'd gotten the one with the suspension earlier, I'd have liked it better. Now, it's made of more durable stuff, and over the years, I don't think we had Cuban. Did we have Cuban back then? I don't know. But a portion of this is Cuban, or whatever the hell they call that now. And another portion is a heavier, more durable nylon, which you don't see in those, feather light kind of things. And there's also, mountaineering related stuff on this pack. Stuff that I won't need. Ice axe loops and something. Very common regardless of the style of pack you get. But I'm pleased with it. And even though these packs are heavier than your normal packs, they seem to count as worn weight rather than hump it weight. With a normal backpack, it's always pulling you back, and so as you're hiking, you're leaning forward, trying to balance it, and you're going along. This one, you really just walk normally, because the front balance pockets and the suspension combine with the belt to kind of transfer the load to your entire body. Though it's focused on your hips. In fact, all the weight on these balance pockets, I don't want to say all of it, but the balance pockets are attached to the hip belt via a slot and button mechanism. And so they're free to bar and door around, but they're attached to your shoulder harness as a kind of means of Maybe the shoulder straps on a normal backpack functions the same way. And it allows you to adjust the position and freedom of those front pockets. Starting to heat up here. It's like we've got some kind of alternative trail. The person who used it last time came through this way. There's deer tracks as well. Looking at this path reminds me of a time when I was on Rattlesnake Mountain here in New Hampshire. Down near the Rumney climbing area. As a kid, teenager, I used to go up and down that mountain all the time. It was my regular haunt. And one time, there was a forest fire on that mountain. And when I hiked up into the thing, the path, yeah, stop. My phone's talking to me. Okay. All right, I wanted to put these away. And I have enough space in these forward pockets, spare space. I can just shove those big gloves, those big woolen mittens, inside of one of them, on one side of it. No problem. So, as you can see, I know a lot of people don't really know how to use hiking poles. So what you want with a hiking pole is to put your strap through here so that when you use it, the strap bears the weight, like so. And you place your hand on top or on the wrist. What you don't do is grab it like this and control it. You just kind of manage it like a chopstick. Same with the other one. And they're adjustable, right? To pull it out, you take the top. To bring it in, you go like this. And that is your preference for how close to the top you want it to be. Typically, if you are having gloves, you'll loosen them out. Just adjusting this, making sure it's still recording. So my recording device, this is the first time I've really used it. I did some research initially. What was my initial use for this? I don't quite remember. But I got something that was inexpensive and flexible, but the quality was crap. And there was no image stabilization. I don't know how well this thing's going to adapt to it. But this is the Action Pro 5. Similar to a GoPro. It's a consumer grade action cam. With great reviews. So what the hell? I'll try it. So even though this is just a day hike, I have a big ass backpack on. The reason for this is it's winter time. And not only do I need to peel off layers and put them somewhere, but I like to hang out in the woods when I hike. And I'm not going to stop doing that in the wintertime. I've got a hammock. And what you do is you string them up between a couple of trees. Like those would be perfectly fine. Empty space down low. And you'll reach up as pretty much as high as you can. Tie a strap around it. And then I use what's called a Beckett hitch to attach a continuous loop at the end of my hammock to the strap, and that suspends the hammock between two trees. I'll try and see if I can't do something about showing that. But of course, even when it's really, anytime it's, I don't know, in the 60s maybe 50s, you want something underneath you because your back and your shoulders and, you know, your upper arms are all going to be directly up against that hammock, and much like an underlayer wicks away moisture, the hammock wicks away your heat, which is great if it's hot out. In fact, putting a fan underneath the hammock will exacerbate that situation, cool you down. Or wind. But when it's cold out, you don't want that. You'll freeze your balls off. It's common for backpackers to underestimate. I certainly know I have. The amount of insulation you need under your hammock. I think I started doing that about 2007 when I got into backpacking. When I was in Connecticut. And I said, well, I'm going to get into backpacking. What do I want to do? Let me do my product research. I do that for everything, pretty much. Unless it's terribly inexpensive. Or a stopgap measure. Anyway, so I did my research and I said, oh, hammocks are comfortable out in the woods? What the hell? Let's try it out. So I got a hammock, put a pad in, like an inflatable pad, and was a happy camper. Took that. You know, I've camped in winter, overnight. And what you do when you're camping with these things is, in addition to putting them up in between the trees, above it, you put a tarp that you then string out. And that protects you from the wind and the rain. Boy, I can remember, where the hell was I? Dolly Sods. I had gone backpacking with a group via meetup. And I had my hammock. And it rained. And everybody else was like bailing out their tents and having problems. But I was up off the ground. And I had my tarp over me. And while it was storming and torrential rains were coming down, it was loud, but I was comfortable and elevated and had no worries. But in the wintertime, you need more than nothing, or even a simple inflatable or insulated pad. And so what they've done for hammocks is taken a quilt and put it on the bottom. And they're all rated for different degrees. And the best ones, both hammocks and underquilts, and all of the hammock and backpacking stuff, really, the best stuff comes from cottage manufacturers. Though maybe not backpacks, though it depends on whether you consider Arn a cottage manufacturer. By market share, maybe, but I don't know. They're no Dutchware, or I don't know, Simply Light Designs or whatever. For example, last time I was out, I got hailed on. I was like, well, to deal with that problem. So as a stopgap measure, I went to Amazon, found a shell, inexpensive, good reviews, and I pulled the trigger. And when I found it was a little too big, though with the layering it's perfect, but without the layering, I liked it, you know? Without the layering, it was too big, and so I sized down, got one in a different color, keep it at home. But as I was out there, I was like, I need to do some research on outer shells, really rain jackets for backpacking. And I thought, as I was on the trail, what do I want? What would be best? DWR coatings are touted as being waterproof. The fact of the matter is they wear off and you get drenched and then you're swamped. And so you need to pair DWR with pit zips. Often the pit zips are fairly small. What you want is a full length pit zip. And of course there's the hood. You need something that you can cinch up against a hat. And it's got good articulation. The other thing I wanted, that I compromised on and did not get, was a length that kind of went down to my knees. That'd be ideal. Really, a trench coat would be nice. But the place that sold the impermeable non-DWR ended up being ultralight. Raincoat, and I suppose windbreak. That model didn't have a tail that dropped down past your ass. Ideally, what they would make. And this is what I got, is a kilt that wraps around and actually either velcros or zips in to the coat and is covered by it like a shingle. Now, the rain kilt that I got a nice and long one, I think. Not super long, not looking to get, a dress or anything, but enough to go past my knees. That's really where the problems start. Oh, where is the nice map? And you are here. That's Miss. Excuse me. So I picked up both of those things. And I got them in a like orange blaze kind of color. But the raincoat, it's like $110. You're not spending $200 or $300 or like an Arc'teryx $500 or $600 on something like that. But with an impermeable layer, with no DWR. Huge pit zips that go from, say, a few inches up your elbow to down near your belt. Almost exactly what I was looking for. And not expensive. In comparison. There we go. We are here. Good. I took the right one. I say hopefully. Maybe I better bring out my compass and make sure I know what the hell is going on. These balance pockets have like a bungee pouch in front. I keep my stuff on. So, let's see which way is north. Ways north. So this must be the junction between here in here. I want to go straight up that big path. And what I've got here is various accoutrements on a lanyard. This one is a Groove Life thing. I guess kind of peel it off here. It shows you the temperature and humidity. And this is part of their, they've got the stuff for the home, smart home stuff. This one is designed to be outside of the house or outside like I'm now. And so I ended up getting this because I was down by a pond, slung up my hammock, and I was like, man, it's colder than the temperature says it is, or at least it feels like it. I need something to tell me what the temperature is out here. And so here we go. I got this. That humidity has been going up and up and up, probably because of my hand. Likely the temperature as well. But I just attach them, cinch it up to keep it in place, and I'm in business. Good. That way is the Badger Trail cross country. This way is the Beaver Loop cross country. My still pants are making me hot as well. I think it's about time for me to find a place to camp out, cool down, strip off. So what I'm going to do is hike for a little while until I find a nice spot to hang my hammock. Now, one of the other benefits of a hammock is flexibility in site selection. If I wanted to, like if I was pressed, if dark was closing in and I needed a campsite, I could choose these trees, no problem. Set up and I'm in business. These trees, no problem. I could choose a wide variety. I don't need to care about how steep the ground is or too much about what's there. One time I hung over a bunch of rocks, a bunch of boulder style rocks. That was fun. You got to be careful about that though, because your hammock's nylon. You could rip it and then you're SOL, especially if you're backpacking and using your hammock as your sleeping arrangement. Though honestly, when you're out there backpacking, most of the time you're setting it up with an underquilt. And so when I've torn a hammock before, it's been summertime hiking down by a river, setting up over a couple of rocks, a little too low, and the hammock in question was, what was it? I don't quite remember. It was one of those asymmetrical ones with the little shelf on the side that you could guy out. Forget about the manufacturer of that one. But at the time, I thought it was smart to buy a double layer 1.1 nylon. And one of those layers ripped, the other one stretched. And one time when I was backpacking with it, like an idiot, it ripped. And then I was SOL. I ended up sleeping on the ground borrowing some sit pads from the other people that were with me and cursing my ill luck. When the rip initially occurred, I contacted the manufacturer and was like, hey man, can you like sew this back up for me? And he was like, nope, too big. Now, I had it in my head that I'd repair that damn thing. And so I bought myself a sewing machine and never sewed it up. I don't even know where it is now, probably threw it away. Now, I liked the backpacking experience and comfort so much with my first hammock, which was, oh boy, yep, I don't remember. I can picture it. I don't remember the manufacturer. They make scouting hammocks. But I said, I'm going to switch from sleeping in a bed at home to a hammock. And well, it's been like 15 years. And I'm still sleeping in a hammock. Of course, I did a little bit of research and got myself a Brazilian cotton deluxe hammock with a nice fringe and everything. But sleeping that in every day and kind of chilling out in it because they're comfortable. It ended up ripping. Got a hole down there in my feet because procrastination has been a problem for me historically. I just kind of ignored it until it got too big on that side. And then I said, looks like they've been going through the other way. I think I prefer this side. So what I do is I just flip it over and put that structural blemish away from my feet. And that extended the life of my procrastination until again I'd rub through again. So I said, screw this, these freaking hammocks. I keep on rubbing through them. And I ended up using a synthetic. I found a synthetic that feels like cotton from Ripstop by the Roll. And because I didn't know how to sew, and I didn't care how it looked, what they do with the hammocks is they will sew along the sides to make it nice and pretty. And along the edges, they'll sew a channel in so you can put something in there. I said, screw that. The sides are fine as they are. In fact, over time, any kind of fringing goes away. Well, I forgot about looking for a place to camp out. And I put up, I already had Dutchware adjustable wall anchors, which is I don't know, 10 inches maybe tall. And it has a notched area and a ring so you can adjust it. And so I took that 15-foot length of nylon, I tied an overhand knot in one end. I took one of my continuous loops. I lark's headed over it. And attached it to one end. Then I went over to the other side of the room. And found a good, I don't know, geometry, droop. And I said this is about where I want it to be. So I took the other continuous loop and a piece of wood. And I took that wood and I wrapped it around once. I wrapped my hammock around it and I lark's headed over that. And that gave me something that I could adjust freely. And you don't hit the bullseye immediately. But in about 5 minutes of laying down and adjusting all by yourself, you've got a hammock in your bedroom that extends wall to wall at the perfect height and is bespoke comfort, dialed in to your body as you see fit. And the cloth is only, something like $8 a yard or something. It's about $50. And I've been doing that for years. Because eventually I rub through the damn thing. Or at least I have done that once. But now instead of rubbing through something that costs $100, $150, $200, it's $50 and you can keep a spare in your room. You could even keep a spare that's been adjusted for you, so that if you experience failure, I don't do this, you can just hang it up and say, oh, problem solved. Maybe I'll sew that other one and use it later. Usually I hike in kind of lightweight trail runners, summer weight. And so I was like, oh, better get out my winter shoes. And I didn't really know what I had. I thought they were kind of cheapies. But then when I looked at the brand, I was like, holy crap, I get a nice pair of Asks. When I was a teenager, and I still have these. I had a pair of all leather Vasks that were really the goat. I don't know about all time, but for their age, they were excellent. And people lamented a change in manufacturing. You can't get the things anymore. But I like those Vasks so much, I must have purchased some other ones. These two, I valued lightweight because they're light, and insulation because they've been warm, and you can see the insulation inside of them. They've got Beaver on the bottom. Seem to be really solid, fit me well. Now the other thing I carry with me for winter is a set of micro spikes. Well, Micro Spikes is a brand name, I think. And what I have with me is not Micro Spikes. Because when I got the Micro Spikes, they were prone to slip off when they got snow under them. But when they didn't, man, I can remember running down something like this. All ice, steeper than this. Stopping on a dime on that ice. Super fun. Anyway, what I've got now actually has a strap that goes over your forefoot. Should help keep the thing in place. And it's got those nice claws in between a full-on crampon. And you know, I'm gonna go onto an icy driveway kind of thing. There. What's that? Maybe half an inch long. Not something you'd want to walk on top of rocks with, but this trail, I could be wearing them if I wanted to. I don't need it though, he says confidently.